welcome to the last edition of our special late-night election show, The Last Word, with me, Justice Malala. There have been many upsets in these elections, but none is quite as big as the ANC's loss of the economic powerhouse of KwaZulu-Natal, eThekwini. Today we'll ask the ANC's KZN Provincial Secretary Mdumiseni Ntuli what went wrong for the ANC. But first, political analyst Professor Tinyiko Maluleke wrote in October, and I quote, "Our country is in very bad shape. Our survival as a nation and as a people is at stake. The November 1 elections are not a matter of life and death. They are life and death." My guest now, joining me from Pretoria, is Professor Tinyiko Maluleke, Senior Research Fellow at the University of Pretoria Center for the Advancement of Scholarship. Prof. Tinyiko, welcome to the show.
What a pleasure to talk to you and your viewers, Justice.
Prof, when you wrote that article, many have looked around and said, how many people actually saw fit to beg the people of South Africa to come out and vote? And you used a French metaphor that meant that this is like a war, and our war is the casting of votes. Did you have an inkling that the voter turnout would be this bad?
I didn't think it would be this bad. I suspected that it might be bad because I had been on radio shows where caller after caller was saying, I'm not going to vote. You know, so I had a suspicion, but boy, did I ever imagine that it would become this low, especially if you look at specific places. I mean, 32% in Umlazi, if I remember well, and quite a drop in Soweto too, and Deep Slot, Orange Farm, all these places, I never expected it to be this low.
Why do people, as you mentioned, Umlazi, other places, people who have consistently participated in this project, who have voted for largely the ANC, have stayed at home? Why is that?
I think there are many reasons why people stayed at home. Firstly, I think they are a little bit disenchanted with the electoral system as a whole, because it's really a system that was built for political parties, not for voters, which is why a party like the ANC was able not to divulge the names of its mayoral candidates, for example. So this system was not built for voters. So there's a lot of disenchantment with that. But there's also a lot of disenchantment with the entire crop of political parties available now. I don't think people are able to see the real difference anymore between the DA and the ANC and the EFF. There's a sense that all of them are playing in the same pool, and people are a bit sick and tired of that. But service delivery, obviously, and you can't shed your way into an election week and expect people to wake up and come to vote. So there is a myriad of reasons why people didn't come out.
Is it a dangerous trend? Should I be worried that when people start saying, I'm not going to vote, then they're going to say, I'm going to do something else, and that something else is what we may have seen, for example, in July, that I will express myself with violence, with some kind of social stress?
That is the concern, Justice. That is the concern, that what are they doing when they are not voting, and how else are they going to express their frustrations? It's quite a concern. But I am not part of those who accuse people who stay away of being ignorant or being lacking in electoral education, or not understand. I think these people understand the system well. They are sending a message. They are fed up. It's not apathy in the original sense of the word. So in that sense, we've got to continue to interpret what it is that they mean, but also to recognize that 27 million South Africans stayed away and only 12 million voted. Now, that 27 million is an army of voters waiting to be awakened by someone.
That is, are the politicians listening, Prof? Are they going to do something? Will they do something, or are they just going to wait for 2024 for the same thing to happen?
Well, I hope that they begin thinking about the 27 million out there, because the 12 million are likely to vote again. And maybe you can add a few more, because national elections always attract more turnout than local elections. But I don't think we are going to stem the tide of people staying away. People have discovered they can stay away from voting and their heavens do not fall in. People have discovered they can stop voting for the ANC and the heavens do not fall in. People have discovered they can stop voting for the DA and the heavens do not fall in. And the more they get used to that, the more they are likely to do it again.
Let me ask you about what happens inside the ANC, given its disastrous performance for the first time below 50% aggregate. What is next? Is it going to reform, or is it going to be, let me loot, let me eat before the party ends and the DA or the EFF or Action SA takes over the reins of governing this country?
I sincerely hope the latter is not what they are thinking of doing. And by the way, it's not only the ANC that could end up thinking like that. All the political parties could end up thinking like that if the fragmentation continues. Because what the electorate is doing is refusing to give any single party a whole mandate. And the mandate that they give to single parties are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And sometimes when I listen to the tone of discussions around coalition, I get a sense that it is almost becoming horse trading, but I don't hear enough references to the needs of the people, to service delivery and so on and so forth. So I really hope that the ANC doesn't go down that route, that they really introspect and they really go back to the drawing board and ask themselves, why is this emotional bond that we had with the people breaking up? Because that's what's happening. There's a divorce going on between the ANC and its army of loyal supporters who have always voted for it.
Isn't it almost like a cliche that if you take a look at Zambia and Kenneth Kaunda, after 30 years, people went off in huge numbers and voted for Chiluba. If you look at Kenya and so many other places, you've mentioned them in some of your writing, liberation movements get tired, get corrupt, and give up after about 30 years. And the ANC is looking at 30 years in power. Maybe this is just normalization of South African politics.
Well, it could be normalization, and there is indeed a precedent in other African countries. But I think the road to this moment is unique for each country. The ANC has traveled a particularly treacherous road to come to this point, because what do we have behind us? We've got state capture. We've got corruption in the midst of COVID-19. You've got Marikana. You've got 50% of citizens living below the poverty line. You've got several countries in one country. So I don't want to merely say, no, what is happening would happen anyway because it happened in Zambia. It is happening in South Africa because of particular commissions and omissions by the ANC. And I think the ANC needs to take responsibility for that, because if they don't, then indeed we will become like any other country which has had a liberation party in power.
Prof. Tinyiko, it's so lovely to speak to you and to get your insights. Thanks so much for this. I look forward to reading more of your work. You predicted it and it came true. Thanks so much. After the break, ANC KZN leader Mdumiseni Ntuli. Stay with us.